Shri Amrit Abhijat, Principal Secretary, Department of Urban Development, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Shri Nitin Ramesh Gokarn, Principal Secretary, Department of Housing and Urban Planning, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Devashish Vyas, Partner, Strategy and Business Design and Leader, Economic Development and Urban Transformation from Deloitte. Mr. Rajit Matthews, Program Director, Urban Development, World Resources Institute, India. Mr. Preetam Mehra, Senior Executive Director and Head of Government Practice, CBRE, India. We welcome on the dais Mr. Ashwinder R. Singh, CEO, Residential Bhartiya City. Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, National Chairman, IGBC and MD of Rajco Metal Industries Private Limited. We welcome Mr. Vinay Kumar Singh, Managing Director, NCRTC. Ladies and gentlemen, and also the moderator for this session, Partner in Sector Leader from Ernst & Young, Mr. Amit V. Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our illustrious panel seated here on the dais in front of all of us. And I think very soon we'll also be joined by Shri Rakesh Rathore, Guruji, the Honorable Minister of State for Urban Development, Government of Uttar Pradesh. जैसे कि हमारे देश की संस्कृति है, किसी भी सम्मेलन को, किसी भी उत्सव को हम शुरू करते हैं अतिथि देवो भव के साथ, उसी परंपरा को निभाते हुए अब हम स्वागत सम्मान करेंगे अपने सम्मानित अतिथियों का जो मंच पर आसीन हैं। सबसे पहले मैं निवेदन करना चाहती हूँ श्री ए.के. शर्मा जी से कि वो माननीय श्री हरदीप सिंह पुरी जी का एक फूलों के गुलदस्ते के साथ स्वागत करें। Welcoming Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, who is also our chief guest for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, जोरदार तालियां सभी की ओर से। निवेदन है श्री नितिन रमेश गोकर्ण जी से कि श्री ए.के. शर्मा जी का आप अभिनंदन करें, स्वागत करें एक फूलों के गुलदस्ते के साथ। A floral welcome to श्री ए.के. शर्मा जी। जोरदार तालियां। Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, quickly we are moving on and it's time we hand over the proceedings to the moderator for this session. हमारे moderator Mr. Amit Singh हैं जो partner and sector leader हैं Ernst & Young से। Sir.
Am I audible? Yeah. First of all, let me welcome all the dignitaries on the stage and ladies and gentlemen who have taken out time to attend this session which is very relevant to us. The reason being that we all operate out of the city. I would not waste much of a time and I would call upon the Honorable Minister for Urban Development, Shri A.K. Sharma ji, who needs no introduction, onto the dais and please give us the welcoming and the opening remarks. Sir.
Honorable Chief Guest of this session and our mentor in Government of India. In fact, we have learnt a lot from Honorable Hardeep Puri ji, who is Minister of Urban Development, Housing and also Petroleum and Natural Gas. I welcome him on behalf of the people of Uttar Pradesh, on behalf of our Honorable Chief Minister and on behalf of all of you in this session. I also welcome various dignitaries who are sitting on the dais, Mr. Vyas, Mr. Amit Abhijat, Mr. Ramesh Gokarn ji, Mr. Mehra. I was talking to Gurmeet Singh ji on green buildings, Ashwinder Singh ji, Vinay Kumar Singh ji. I welcome all the experts also. It's a real pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to be listening to such an experienced and such a well-known galaxy of experts, particularly Honorable Minister of Urban Housing and Urban Affairs in Government of India, under whose leadership the entire program of country's rejuvenation in the urban areas has started. You might be aware of the topic of today's discussion, which is reimagining the cities of UP as growth centers. I would like to just remind you about the word reimagining. What is reimagination? Reimagination of a city is something like this, which I am telling you from my own experience. When I became Urban Development Minister of the state, 10 months now, after a month or so I realized that daily cleaning is the best service for the city and the best remedy for preventing dirt and all those problems. So I insisted on daily cleaning, rising at 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning. So that has worked. After that, we launched a few more campaigns, starting with Honorable Prime Minister's birthday on 17th September to up to 2nd October, and then subsequently we launched a few more campaigns. But the last campaign, right now also we are in a campaign mode to make global cities. We have launched a campaign called G-City campaign. But just before this, we had a campaign for removal of vulnerable garbage points from the cities. And the idea was that there have been garbage points for almost 50 years, 60 years. A child is born, he becomes a student, he becomes an adult, he becomes an old man, but the garbage point remains there. So we decided that these garbage points must be removed. And to the credit of the entire machinery of Urban Development Department, headed by able officers, we removed almost 4,000 plus such garbage points. Now, that is where the reimagination part comes. I saw a video during that time, a Muslim gentleman talking on a video, and that became a very viral video. He said कि साहब पहले हमारे घर का पता इस कूड़े के ढेर से लगता था. हमारे घर किसी को आना होता था तो लोग बताते थे कि इस चौराहे से बाएं चले जाना, वहां एक कूड़े का ढेर मिलेगा, उससे दाएं चले जाना. So he has said this on video which I had tweeted also. I was so impressed with that video. He said कि आज से हमारे घर का पता बदल गया. So this is reimagination, my brothers and sisters. This is how we have to reimagine our cities. उसी तरह से there were certain schools which are very well made schools, very good faculty, very good teachers. Everything was very nice. But उसके सामने कचरे का ढेर था, कूड़े का ढेर था, बहुत बड़ा vulnerable garbage point, a historical garbage point was there. So parents would not send their children to those schools. This has been told by the school owners themselves to me. कि साहब आपको मालूम नहीं है आपने कितना बड़ा काम करवाया इस अलग अलग शहरों में. Not only that, some builders sometime met me and said कि साहब हमारी यहाँ स्कीम थी वहाँ, लेकिन क्या बताऊँ वहाँ एक बड़ा 2500 साल से एक ऐसा गार्बेज पॉइंट बन गया था, कूड़े का ढेर बन गया था कि हमारी स्कीम ही नहीं बिक रही थी. As soon as the garbage was removed, the scheme became a premium scheme and a premium locality to live in. So this is how we have to reimagine our cities, ladies and gentlemen. Second example I will give. You might be facing on a daily basis. You come by bus from somewhere. अब बहुत से लोग बस से नहीं चलते हैं, अपनी गाड़ियों से चलते हैं तो बात अलग है. But those who travel on a public transport system. Suppose you are coming by bus from say Azamgarh or Noida or Delhi. You get down at some point of time, and then you have to catch a train. You have to go to another point to catch the train. In between, you have to hire a rickshaw. You have to hire your pedal rickshaw or a three-wheeler diesel-driven rickshaw. So there was so much disconnect among the modes of transportation in the cities, and we have to now reimagine. We have to now re-engineer these modes of transportation, modes of businesses, Now when we come to reimagine them as growth centers, you might be knowing that around 60% of GDP of the country comes from these urban areas. Even in UP, though our percentage in terms of urbanization is slightly less than the national average, we are slightly below 30%, but almost one-third of our population lives in the urban areas, and they contribute around 65% of GDP of UP. When we say that these growth centers have to be reimagined, then the work culture, the work spaces, the efficiency to work, the efficiency to learn, and generation of opportunities through many modes of urban rejuvenation can be achieved, and that is how the cities become growth centers, or they become better growth centers. Our Honorable Chief Minister has given us a target of making Uttar Pradesh a $1 trillion economy by 27-28. And our cities, our urban areas have to contribute immensely in that journey towards $1 trillion economy, and that would also be a contribution in Honorable Prime Minister's dream, Honorable Hardeep Puri Saab's dream of making India a $5 trillion economy in next 4-5 years. So this is where the urban setting is becomes important, because now there is no doubt that one-third of our working population, one-third of our active population, and a lot of youth live in these urban centers. They have to be given good opportunity for work. They have to be given nice environment to live, and living also has become an economic activity. So all this has to be kept in mind when we talk of reimagining our urban centers, urban growth centers. I take it upon myself the responsibility. You might be aware that right now, like this Global Investors Summit is going on, right now also a global, truly global event. This event itself is a global event, but another global event is going on in our state, and that is G20. Agra, it is almost going to be concluded today, and here it is going to start from tomorrow. The guests have started arriving in Lucknow. Yesterday, the nodal ministry of the Agra program, which was on women's empowerment, so the Secretary of Women and Child Department, Mr. Indivar Pandey, I saw a video of his inaugural address where he is speaking of UP very highly. He said that Agra and UP have done India proud in terms of giving a good environment to the foreign guests who have come as part of G20 delegation. He was so much of praise for Uttar Pradesh. He has said on record, and he has used the word, I am saying this on record. This is the wording of his video. He says that Agra looks like a global city. You have shown the world that India and UP can do it, can deliver it. So we have a lot of potential. The same manpower, the same sweeper, the same Safai Karmchari of our Agra town, of Agra Nagar Palika, even Lucknow, it is looking so bright. We are so proud of looking at Lucknow. The old saying, "Muskuraiye ki aap Lucknow mein hai." It has become so lively here that not only you, not only we Indians, but also I'm sure the foreign delegates who come as part of either GIS or G20, they will be very happy to be in Lucknow. I wish you all the best. We have a galaxy of experts and experienced dignitaries who will give us more light, who will throw more light on various aspects of reimagination of cities as growth centers. I wish you all the best, and once again, I welcome Honorable Minister Hardeep Puri Saab, the experts who are sitting on the dais, and also all of you in this session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring words. Now I'll call upon Shri Amrit Abhichand, Principal Secretary, Department of Urban Development, to throw upon the various information related to how we can reimagine cities at the growth center of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, sir. Honorable Minister Hardeep Singh Puri ji, with whom I have had the unique privilege of working for a few years in Delhi, and I've already been guided on how to achieve the impossible under his leadership. Honorable Minister A.K. Sharma ji, under whom I am working relentlessly for the growth of Uttar Pradesh. Today we are speaking on the reimagining of smart cities or cities as such. It has been the global experience that cities are propellers of growth, and Uttar Pradesh was, in the words of Honorable Minister, a reluctant urbanizer as India was, but we've seen that the kind of growth that we've seen in the last few years in India, and particularly in a state like Uttar Pradesh, has given a tremendous amount of hope that we would be able to achieve the dreams and the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of making India a 5 trillion economy and certainly Uttar Pradesh becoming a 1 trillion economy. While we are at it today, I would like to concentrate on the aspect of the smart cities through which a lot of this is being achieved. Uttar Pradesh, of course, has a large number of smart cities under the Central Smart City Mission, but we went about doing our own thing also in order to assist to the vision, and we had sister smart cities, 7 of them, so we have about 17 smart cities in this state of UP. So while we were delivering on this scale, technology, of course, was one of the very important things that we emphasized upon. World-class infrastructure in terms of roads, lighting, technical facilities, services were being catered to. However, along the course, we felt that there is a certain aspect of population which probably needed a better addressing their issues. And it is here that the idea of senior care centers came, sir, because we feel that as we urbanize, alienation becomes a fact of life for the people who grow old and become lonely. They are left to their own, and in cities, in urban cities, we feel particularly also now in Uttar Pradesh that they have to fend for themselves, and it is here that the smart cities came up with the idea of senior care centers, which we are in the process of building, which will be a structure where they can come, stay there for the whole day, interact with their own fellow people, get facilities and services from the government, those of Aadhaar-based, bank services, encounters, health checkup, and so on and so forth. So this included a large number of people, and there has been a very good traction on that, and people are generally adopting it. Another people-centric approach that we took on was the adoption of smart schools, which otherwise were being taken in the smart cities, but the basic schools that we had and the schools run by the municipal authorities were never smart enough. And we were again conscious that we were creating a class divide in the municipal schools in the city and those smart schools which were coming from the private sector. Therefore, we started a Kaya Kalp mission, and the Smart City mission has been a very proud contributor into the changing the face of the schools, the teaching pedagogy, use of computer-based appliances, so on and so forth. Another thing that we started was that in order to make the overall environment as a city that cares, we had the women related facilities in terms of pink toilets, she lounges, and also now, sir, we are coming with working women's hostel, which will be exclusively for the women who work in these smart cities to be able to cater to the ideas of insecurity and also to address the issues of how they are able to access to their workplaces. The efforts in the pollution sector, sir, which probably was one of the parameters that the ministry designed for smart cities, you will be very happy to note that the Agra registers an AQI generally of between 40 and 50 today, from being one of the most polluted cities of the country at one point of time. We've been working relentlessly on this. Similar is the case with Banaras and Gorakhpur, where case studies are being done, how pollution issues have been addressed. Banaras now continues to be guiding the spirit on the pollution war front, and you'll be surprised the kind of work that has happened with the kind of lay down of grasses and covering the footpath spaces, which helps in a big way in making least polluted. Because we believe that the smart cities are also cities which pollute less, which takes care of people in a very, very holistic manner, rather than just looking at the people who are at as an employment workforce. We also are catering to urban forestry under the Smart Cities mission and are taking the help of schemes like Amrut, which is a very, very holistic way of addressing the issues of water, rejuvenation, reuse of water, as well as looking at aquifers. What I intend to say here, therefore, is, sir, that while Smart City mission was going on, we are in the process of increasing the ambit and the scope of the kind of people that are absorbed in the mission, and we are able to take care of the elderly as well as the kids. And now, as I speak, sir, we are now standing on the verge of preparations of the Kumbh Mela that is about to happen, and we are finalizing the services that will happen, and we can say that it's going to be a very, very smart Kumbh where the people will get access to opportunities, access to facilities, services, security. Everything would be tied up in a manner that we will surprise the world with the kind of management that we've done. I am very unfortunate that, sir, you're not spending the evening with us today. Lucknow has changed. Lucknow has changed for the better. Lucknow certainly is one of the best cities in the country to live by. I spent 7 years in Delhi, sir. Now I'm here in Lucknow, sir. I am not going back easily, sir. It is a world-class city, Lucknow, that is given it to us. Agra, sir, has been really, really praised. We are, of course, in the process of making UP a great, great state to live in, sir, and cities that care, population that cares under the visionary leadership of Chief Minister Shri Yogi Adityanath ji. Thank you so much, sir, for being here, sir. Good day.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, smart cities have come a long way. Smart cities, the way they have been perceived, they are the shining examples of what other cities can learn from smart cities. The way smart cities reposition themselves in COVID response, the way smart cities have been working is something which actually paves the way of how and what ways the rapid urbanization can be addressed in a way, holistic way, the way smart cities have done. Moving on to the next speaker, I'll invite Shri Nitin Ramesh Gokaran, sir, Principal Secretary, Department of Housing and Urban Planning, to share his views around reimagining cities. Thank you.
Honorable Minister Shri Hardeep Puri ji, Honorable Minister Shri A.K. Sharma ji, Principal Secretary Urban Development Amrit Abhijat, dignitaries on the dais, and delegates to this very interesting session. As the earlier speakers just mentioned, cities are engines of growth. Long ago when we were in school and college, we were informed that just a square mile of Manhattan Island in New York was worth more than the entire GDP of the country. And that's where we had progressed from today, that we are now aspiring to be a $5 trillion economy. And UP is aspiring to be a $1 trillion economy. Urban centers will continue to be engines of growth in this entire quest for a $1 trillion economy, for which the Housing and Urban Planning Department is gearing itself for a paradigm shift in what is required for this purpose. We are looking at now an entire new state capital region to be formed around Lucknow, which will encompass not just Lucknow and Kanpur, but the adjoining districts, so that that becomes a magnet and a counter-magnet for the NCR region, and the fresh new bout of investments in New India are going to happen in the state capital region. We are looking at 100 new integrated townships across the state, so that urbanization is not just concentrated in Lucknow, but it is spread across the state. We've already received intents for more than 50 integrated townships, and we hope that in the next coming couple of months, we will touch this figure of 100 new townships. We are come out with this new transit-oriented development policy for the state. As you are aware, the state of Uttar Pradesh is home to the highest number of metros in the state. We have currently 5 of them. Agra is rapidly under progress, and we hope that by end of this year, Agra, my MD Metro is here. He's promised that it will be 6 months ahead of schedule of what it was originally envisaged. That's the pace of work that our metro is functioning. The transit-oriented development around these metro stations will be of mixed land use with a higher FAR to enable densification and ease of movement, especially enabling non-motorized transportation and pedestrianization in the entire area, and will add value to the older parts of the city. We are looking at a transferable development right policy. I'm happy to inform you, sir, that we are working with IIT Kanpur for an open source blockchain-based technology in order to have a transferable development rights which will be piloted by Kanpur and which will be rolled out across the state. And we hope that by end of this calendar year, we will have a transferable development right, not just policy on paper, but it will be actually a market tradable right which everybody will be able to access and will be shown in a very transparent manner. So just a couple of more points that I would like to mention. We are looking at the first regional rapid transit system. The MD RRTS, Mr. Vinay Kumar, is also on stage, and he will inform you the progress of the RRTS and the trials that are undergoing at the moment. We hope that this will be launched not just as a first model RRTS in the country, but will be a model across Asia. That's what we are looking at. And it will be integrated with a complete new TOD policy so that the station area development, which especially is possible now because of the length of the RRTS, will also be enabled. As you are aware, sir, we are having 59 Amrit-based GIS master plans which are in advanced stage of preparation. We have submitted and we hope to get another tranche of master plan GIS approvals for 63 new cities. This will transform the entire urban planning landscape in the country. The reason being that our entire act was based so far on a regulatory mechanism which was on paper but not on GIS based. This will enable us to do plans for project preparation and for execution. We have developed 7 city development plans and city logistics plans which are almost at the final stages and have enabled us to bring out new projects which we are integrating into our current master plans. I'm happy to inform you that the online building approval system is progressing well, and the number of approvals that have been given online is almost twice as what it was earlier. It is within the time frame that is stipulated. There are certain issues with regard to NOCs with other departments, but we hope to have a much improved version, what we are terming as the fast OB pass, which we hope to roll out in the next 3 months. Sir, under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister and the Urban Development Minister, we promise you that Uttar Pradesh's Housing and Urban Planning Department will be at the forefront of this transformation of urban areas. And we hope to be leaders, not just in India, but hold examples across the globe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your thoughts with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move on with this session, we have a screening of a very special film which is based on the subject of this session. We request everyone to kindly take a look at the screens, please.
Urbanization has existed since time immemorial, and in the heartland of the nation, Uttar Pradesh is the home of one of the oldest cities in the world, Varanasi.
आजादी के 75 साल होंगे तब तक हिंदुस्तान में एक भी परिवार ऐसा नहीं होगा जिसका अपना खुद का पक्का घर नहीं होगा.
In the same spirit, the government of Uttar Pradesh is reimagining cities as growth centers for transforming the state's economy. The goal of building a $1 trillion economy. The burgeoning economy will result in exponential growth in urban population. The government of Uttar Pradesh is actively and substantially investing in the modernization of its infrastructure, for the rejuvenation of the ancient cities, for the planned development of the urban areas, for enhanced intra- and intercity mobility and connectivity, and for building smart cities. This rapid pace of development is expected to bring an additional urban population of about 3 crore in coming years. The changing urban landscape of UP will create an increasing demand for housing, logistics, connectivity and infrastructure, hence opening up new doors of opportunity for private investors in building townships, settlements, hotels, schools, colleges, hospitals, roads, bridges and other real estate establishments. Uttar Pradesh is a tapestry of rich history and cultural heritage. The government of Uttar Pradesh has put forth an ambitious plan to revitalize ancient cities into world-class destination cities. Ayodhya Vision 2047, shown by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi and guided by Honorable CM Yogi Adityanath for the cultural, sustainable and inclusive development of Ayodhya. With the planned investment of more than 30,000 crore rupees, Ayodhya is set to undergo a comprehensive revamp in all aspects. A greenfield township with world-class infrastructures and urban planning is under development, which will enhance the ancient glory of Ayodhya. Besides, Mathura has been chosen under Hriday scheme of Government of India. The government of Uttar Pradesh is working on improving regional and intra-city connectivity by providing eco-friendly, safe and affordable commuting options. Building India's first regional rapid transit system, RRTS corridor, which will run from Delhi to Ghaziabad and Meerut.
मेट्रो न केवल बेहतर ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम का, अभी तो उनके लिए एक स्टेटस का सिंबल भी बन चुका है कि हमारी सिटी मेट्रो सिटी है.
Uttar Pradesh is the only state in the country to have operational metro connectivity in 5 cities: Noida, Greater Noida, Ghaziabad, Lucknow and Kanpur. Construction work in Meerut and Agra metros is going on at a fast pace. The government of Uttar Pradesh is also focusing on expanding the metro services to other major cities like Gorakhpur, Bareilly, Jhansi and Prayagraj. In Varanasi, the ropeway project is also in progress, which will facilitate public transport in the congested part of the city. Uttar Pradesh is the promising realm of urbanization, where new opportunities are emerging day by day. Under the visionary and dynamic leadership of Honorable Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ji, the state is offering major incentives including single window clearances, easier land assembly, high density and FAR, concession in land use conversion charges and 100% foreign direct investment to the developers and investors. The government of Uttar Pradesh has simplified bylaws to promote affordable housing, to promote re-densification and redevelopment along transit corridors, and to ease out assembly of land for development of social and physical infrastructure. The government of Uttar Pradesh has recently notified Transit-Oriented Development Policy and Transferable Development Rights bylaws. Plans to create 100 new greenfield self-contained townships with all the modern amenities. Already 50 townships have been identified. Transforming at least 10 destination cities into global beacons through local economic development initiatives. Developing 60 smart cities with state-of-the-art infrastructure and cutting-edge technology to enhance the quality of life for residents. GIS-based master planning of the cities will provide a digitized record of land and its usage. Micro-level economic planning is being done by preparing city development plans in 13 cities. These policies and initiatives will not only attract more investment and development in our cities, but also create new job opportunities, boost the urban economy, and enhance the quality of life for residents. Already 800 investors have signed MOUs worth investment of more than 1 lakh crore rupees. We invite you to embark on this journey of urbanization as we turn our cities into the growth engine of new Uttar Pradesh. New India's growth engine.
This indeed is quite inspiring. Now moving to the next part of the program, we will have our sector experts talking about a specific theme area. I would request all the speakers to limit themselves to 3 minutes now, considering the revised timelines that we have. And the first person that I would like to call upon, Mr. Devashish Biswas, Partner Strategy and Business Development and Leader Economic Development and Urban Transformation, Deloitte. And he would want to talk about reimagining cities to boost UP economy to $1 trillion. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Sri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, Honorable Minister for Urban Development, Sri A.K. Sharma ji, Honorable Principal Secretary, Sri Amrit Avijat ji, Honorable Principal Secretary, Sri Nitin Ganesh ji, and my friends on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, and all the experts sitting in the crowd, and also investors. UP is moving towards a $1 trillion economy, and while the country is moving towards $5 trillion economy, and cities are going to play a big role. Our Honorable Minister mentioned that 60% of the country's GDP comes from the cities, and I'll just add to that, it has only 3% of the land mass, which shows also, Honorable Principal Secretary mentioned about Manhattan, a very small area. New York is actually more than $1 trillion economy, so is London. So for taking UP to $1 trillion economy, cities will play a big role and a large role. We have also seen in India, the states which has higher urbanization has higher per capita income. So that's the other thing that we will see as UP moves towards $1 trillion economy. So the current urbanization of UP is around 25%, but as UP moves towards $1 trillion economy, the urbanization will change to 35 to 40%. Now, how do we do that? And while we do that, what do we see? The cities will act as the economic catalyst, but at the same time, the cities that we build in UP needs to be sustainable and provide great quality of life. For that, what we see is that multiple initiatives will be needed, and some of them are transformational. Principal Secretary talked about the smart cities, and actually the video showed about 60 smart cities. Actually, those are smart and cognitive cities. So that's the next level of smart cities that we are talking about, which are thinking cities, which can think of what the various users they need from the cities, and they're being built like that. Also, we talked about 100 new townships. Again, these are green townships, these are integrated townships, this will be, a lot of renewable energy will be there, and we envisage a lot of private sector investments will be coming into these townships as well. We talked about destination cities. UP has huge potential of tourism. When we were drafting the $1 trillion economy plan, we saw that tourism will be a big boost to the economy. And that's where the concept of destination cities came in. So it will be giving a very different kind of branding to the city, right? The city will be known as a particular brand of destination. And it will be a mix of culture, the local heritage, etc. while we build those. So that's the other kind of cities we'll talk about. We also are thinking of city lighthouses, which will build the capacity to manage cities. There will be 20 plus cities which will be producing the next skill sets to manage cities, and also when we move towards, the $1 trillion economy. So it is a mixture of multiple initiatives, around 50 of them. I'm just talking about maybe 5 or 6. But this also gives us a huge opportunity of investments within UP. Because urban, as we know, is an enabler plus also an investment sector. So be it housing, be it infrastructure, be it green energy, be it skills, I believe that as we move towards $1 trillion economy, urban will be able to bring in a lot of private sector investments. And as I speak, actually the development authorities identified huge amount of land which is available for the private sector to leverage as PPP projects and build a lot of urban infrastructures. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Debashish, for sticking to the time limit. I would call upon the next speaker, Ms. Rajit Matthews. She's the Program Director, Urban Development with World Resource Institute. She is going to talk about an economic geography approach to reimagine city growth in Uttar Pradesh. Ms. Rajit, again the time limit, 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all the esteemed members on the dais and in the audience. I'll move directly to this slide, which shows all of the cities of Uttar Pradesh. And you can see what the city system is like, sitting in a very good natural topography at the foothills of the Himalayas. So it's a very rich region in that sense. Understanding economic geography is a great way to understand its economy, its geography, its natural resource potential, as well as managing all of this and urban and regional planning. That's the reason, we're looking at it spatially. We have fantastic infrastructure in Uttar Pradesh. Some of you all must have come from Delhi to Agra, Agra to Lucknow. This kind of connectivity infrastructure is the backbone of economic development. In the interest of time, I will move forward. This is a map that shows the economic potential of Uttar Pradesh. This is the actual jobs that you have in all of the cities. We've represented jobs which are above 10,000 in each of these cities. That's what you're seeing here across various sectors of trade, technology, manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, etc. You see what it is. From an economic geography perspective, you'll see we are very close to Delhi. Delhi's agglomeration is today the leading economic agglomeration of India. It's not only the national capital, it is also the economic capital of India. And part of that agglomeration is Ghaziabad, Noida, Greater Noida. So we are part of the leading economic agglomeration of India. And that connectivity is critical. And we've recognized that in UP by giving it a sub-regional status of the national capital region. Similarly, we have recognized Lucknow, Kanpur, and the region as another region. This is very critical in understanding cities and setting up economic development plan at the city level as well. And there are ways in which we can do it. One is to actually recognize these regions in your cities, move not only, and we're doing a fantastic event today where people are coming and seeing the state. We also must do this at the city levels so that city regions also compete not only with each other regionally, nationally, but also internationally. That's how we can make them global city regions. The other aspects that we can look at is to look at inviting key stakeholders. Just like we have CII, FICCI, and other important industrial associations here, we also need to bring in R&D, the research and development institutes, key stakeholders such as civil society and think tanks to be able to imagine the future of Uttar Pradesh. Each city region like this must look at economic development planning and strategy collectively, co-creating these. My concluding note is that while we build the infrastructure as the backbone for economic development, today globally, cities are trying to differentiate each other from each other. And the way that is done is, when you look at investment coming into your city, where I invest is not dependent only on the economic prowess anymore. I also invest and bring in talent. When I'm talking about creative workers, they will come to those cities that they give them a good urban experience. It means good walking, cycling infrastructure, affordable housing, and various other aspects. And global cities are differentiating themselves by relying on their art, architecture, local culture, and various other assets. And sitting in Lucknow today, it's very clear. We have all of these ingredients to be a global city. Thank you.
Thank you, Preetam. Thank you, Rajit. Now I would call upon Mr. Preetam Mehra, Senior Executive Director and Head of Government Practice, CBRE India. And he's going to talk about one of the important aspects related to pivotal role of private sector in urban infra development and financing of growth centers in New Uttar Pradesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit, and good afternoon, one and all. My respect to the Honorable Union Minister, the Honorable State Minister, all the dignitaries on the stage, and all our friends in this hall. Sir, I come to you as the voice of the private sector. The private sector has been holding the hands of the government in various stages across the various phases of development. And I think the last 10 to 15 years have been extremely pivotal in terms of the role that they have played. While preparing for this particular speech, we were looking at what sterling examples we should look, not only in India but globally, for the pivotal role that private sector plays. And I think one shining example is that of Singapore, right? What has happened in the last 40 to 50 years in Singapore is unprecedented, and Singapore today, being a city-state, stands as a shining example of where urban development can really place you in the global map. If I also take the example of another place called Shenzhen in China. So 30 years back, Shenzhen was a fishing hamlet with a population of 30,000 people. Today, sir, the population of Shenzhen is 17.5 million people. And it's the third most important economic city in the whole of China. The economy has surpassed that of Hong Kong. And what has happened there is predominantly because of government's vision, but also because of a lot of private sector participation. If I also have to look at centers of excellence, smaller scale projects, I can think of something called the Canary Wharf in London. It was a London dockyards where crime and port activities and illegal activities used to happen a few decades back. But today, it's the shining example of what private sector can do in terms of urban transformation. There is about 25 million square feet of high quality, global standard real estate that has been created, and it's a thriving example of how people work, live and play in a small community. There are more examples that I can talk about. Closer home, in fact, in India, and the private sector has over many, many years built strong nodes. Few examples include Powai in Mumbai, Gurgaon. I can think of Bangalore as a huge contribution coming from the private sector, apart from the contribution and the vision shared by the government. And my co-speaker will also talk about one of the projects he heads in Bangalore as well. So essentially, sir, from our standpoint, from the private sector standpoint, I think we are looking at three elements. One element is ambition. We want unlimited ambition coming from the government, and that's exactly what we are seeing both at the center level as well as at the state level. There's a huge amount of aspiration that the central government and the state governments are displaying, and private sector is enthused with that kind of an approach. The second contribution, sir, that the private sector can bring is innovation. There are sterling examples both globally and in India in terms of quick, fast, affordable and relevant innovations that's happening in prop tech, in fintech, and in all aspects where, construction, for example, there are technologies and methodologies that have reduced the time frame for construction to 1/4 of conventional methods and cost of construction by half compared to conventional methods. And hence, there is huge amount of opportunity that the private sector presents in terms of bringing innovation to the ambition that the government will already have. And so the third element is opportunity. I think there is opportunity unlimited. This is the Amrit Kaal for India, and the private sector cannot be more inspired and more ambitious for the next 25 years than it has ever been. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we will move on to CBRE to Residential Bhatia City, Mr. Ashwinder R. Singh, who is the CEO, and he would want to talk about how and what ways the expectation of a private sector is from this opportunity which emerges out of our cities.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri. Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Mr. Sharma. A very good afternoon to Shri Amrit Abhijat and Shri Nitin Ramesh Gokran. There is a saying which goes that the problem is not in falling, but the problem is if you fall and you don't get up. And there is so much of inspiration to see when I came to Lucknow after 20 years, that there is tremendous work that has happened on the ground. And there is so much of positivity that, I'm privileged to be part of this amazing event. Thank you for inviting me. Just a few things to set the context in place. The GDP of Uttar Pradesh has doubled in the last 6 years from 10 lakh crores to 20 crores. The per capita income of Uttar Pradesh has more than doubled from 43,000 to 95,000 rupees in 6 to 7 years. And the ease of doing business, which is phenomenal, has gone to the second position from 14th position. And this is unbelievable. And a big round of applause to the state, to the administrator of the state, and to the government for doing such a fabulous job. I run a large integrated township, which is considered one of the best townships, not only in India, but in Asia, which is in Bangalore. So I'm going to talk about, and Mr. Gokaran was talking about 100 integrated townships. So I'm going to touch upon what are the key ingredients that we can have to have a good integrated township, so that we can, use it as a startup that we replicate with speed and we keep on delivering and executing. One is mixed land use, which was spoken about. The second aspect is housing and inclusiveness. We need housing for all. Creating walkable localities. India and Europe, the only difference is that Europe has walkable localities and India does not have. So, Minister Sharma, you were talking about public transportation. One of the things that can be resolved by keeping costs in control is that we create new cities which are walkable, which are pedestrian friendly, which are cyclable like the Netherlands, and we will save not only a lot of cost, but improve the overall health of our nation. Preserving and developing open spaces is one of the ways in creating these kind of cities. Advanced public transport is the next step, because it needs a lot of capital expenditure. But the irony is that the moment you have a walkable city, advanced transportation always comes, because it kind of goes hand in gloves. Smart traffic and infrastructure service, very important, and enhanced education and healthcare, because a good city needs to have a very good education system and a very good healthcare system. And Lucknow is a great example of it. I think that Uttar Pradesh it is the third economy today in India in terms of state, but the state has all the potential to become the #1 state in the country. And I say this with a lot of genuineness. And if we exploit the current global geopolitical situation in the world, with so much of manufacturing moving out of Russia, Ukraine, China, and just focus on these 3 cities, we can really make this dream come true. My congratulations again to the government, to the organizers, and thank you so much for inviting me for this prestigious event.
Thank you, sir. And now we move on to another guest, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, National Chairman, IGBC, and MD, Rajco Metal Industries. And he is going to talk about the work that he has been doing as the chairman of IGBC into the green and sustainable and resilient cities. Over to you.
Well, this says your class starts now and the clock is already ticking. Honorable Shri Hardeep Puri ji, Honorable Arvind Kumar Sharma ji, all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I can't hear you. Well, let me start with a small quote. Every history is the history of the present, and the way we shape our lives today will define how the coming generation will save their lives in future. Well, can we have an urban center which is a burden on our Panchbhutas, the Jal, Vayu, Agni, Akash and Dharti, or a burden on Mother Earth, or is there a solution? The Honorable Prime Minister has committed to carbon neutrality for India by 2070. How many of you will live till 2070, 43 years from now? Not many. I don't think we have the luxury of time to wait till 2070. And if you want carbon neutrality, you have to achieve energy, water and waste neutrality to reach carbon neutrality or net zero carbon. India currently is home to 11% of the global urban population, and we have surpassed China's population currently at 1.417 billion, 5 million more than China. We have also emerged as the 5th largest economy in the world, moving towards the top 3 within the next 10 to 15 years. The Smart City mission of the Government of India is a very bold initiative towards sustainable urbanization. The Amrut 2.0, urbanizing, rejuvenating 4,700 cities, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, housing for all, and they have targets till March and next March, very ambitious targets. All this is a fantastic program of the Government of India. However, what you can measure, you can monitor. And therefore, all our cities, all our built environment must be certified green. Cities are responsible for 75% of the global CO2, and the built environment is responsible for 38% of the carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. We are currently the 2nd largest green building council in the world. Of course, we are now touching 1,000 crore square feet. This is to be announced by the President of India in New Delhi on the 16th. So to the press, we always say 9.88 billion, because let the President announce this in Delhi just next week. And we are going to become the largest green building council in the world very fast. Building resilience across 5 dimensions: physical, that's manufactured, natural, social, human, and economic, which is key to a sustainable city, business, industry, or community. It is the efforts to usher a green building movement in India that CII decided to practice before it preaches. Even our own headquarters is net positive on energy. We produce more energy than we can consume. We have certified a lot of buildings which do not require a municipal connection on electricity, on water, or do not give out waste. It's not expensive. Green buildings cost today, a green housing society cost 2 to 3% less if it's certified by IGBC. So it's not that I'm asking you to spend more money, but we have to move towards sustainable living. A green healthcare center has a faster recovery rate by 15%. A software center has a higher productivity by 20%. Infosys, Wipro, Mahindra Tech, you name it, Tech Mahindra, they're all reporting 18 to 20% higher productivity rates. In fact, the last 3 projects inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister, the Goa Mopa Airport, saving 64% energy and 70% water consumption. The Mumbai Metro Rail 7 and 2A, the Tumkur helicopter factory, all IGBC certified, and I am indeed thankful to the Honorable Minister that the entire Central Vista is also going to be IGBC certified. So my request to all of you is, we are already doing a lot of green cities, 25 cities right now being certified by us. My aspiration is every city in India must be certified green. The Uttar Pradesh Metro Rail Corporation was awarded the 9th IGBC Green Champion Award just in October, because in the category of Metro Rail Authority leading green MRTS movement in India. The state government, also the urban development department, jointly with the housing and urban planning department, government of UP, has been chosen as the winner of the 8th IGBC Green Champion Award in 2021. So a lot coming, where we have to see how we can jointly reduce greenhouse emissions, reduce solid waste generation, reduce energy consumption by 50 to 70%, and water consumption by 70 to 90%. By the way, your country has 17.65% of the world's population and only 4% of its fresh water. We have a very serious problem on water. 3,000 children die every day due to diarrhea. This is a bigger problem than AIDS, cancer, or even COVID-19. We lose 3,000 children even today, every day, to waterborne diseases. So my request to the Honorable Minister and the UP government is, let's only build green. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We move on to the last speaker of this section, Mr. Vinay Kumar, who's the Managing Director of NCRTC, and he's going to talk about what has been experience of implementing India's first regional rail in Uttar Pradesh, Gati se Pragati.
माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री शहरी आवासन एंड अर्बन अफेयर्स श्री हरदीप पुरी जी, उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार के माननीय मंत्री श्री ए.के. शर्मा जी, डायस पे उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार के senior officers, my colleagues on the dais and off the dais. In the given time, I will be sharing with you a very interesting project which is happening at a very rapid speed, and it is called Regional Rapid Transit System, which will be joining various cities in NCR. But primarily today I will be sharing some information regarding the UP, what we are doing in the state of Uttar Pradesh and how this project is shaping quickly. So, 4 years back we started this project under the leadership of Honorable Minister, and today we are doing the trials of the trains at the highest speed which is possible within the country at a speed of 180 km per hour. This happened in spite of COVID. This is a system which will be connecting Delhi to Meerut through Ghaziabad and various other cities and towns, and it will seriously decongest not only the national capital but the whole of the area it will be serving in terms of the traffic congestion on the road or within the city. This was inaugurated in the March 19 by the Honorable Prime Minister. We can see the speed during the COVID time also. We could do the construction because the whole concept was based on sharing of information on the electronic platforms, sharing of information and collaboration with the designers, with the implementers, with the government, and with the funding agencies. Now, if you see some of these pictures, in September 20, we took up this project of developing a depot. Within less than 2 years, the whole depot was commissioned, and today we can see the trains have been received. And see, very quickly we are going to develop a whole small city under the TOD policy, which was being mentioned by Principal Secretary Housing few minutes back. And there will be great opportunities for investors to come and spend or invest in the commercial development and the residential development in the area within the policies of Government of UP, on which we are working very closely with the government. See, the whole point is that within 4 years, now we can develop a project which is very complex technologically, which is complex from the implementation viewpoint, but with the support of the state government and very, very active support from the Ministry of Housing, central government and the state government, we are able to implement this project very quickly. The environment within the state is so positive to work and implement this kind of projects, and these projects, once implemented, will enable lot of investment within the influence zone of the RRTS system. There is a multi-layer mechanism starting from Honorable Chief Minister himself to a high power committee under the chairmanship of Chief Secretary, then Principal Secretary, and there are meetings, there are monitoring meetings at the commissioner and the district level. So there is a whole setup which makes the project implementation much easier in the state of UP today, and that is why probably we could make so much progress in a very limited time frame. We had an issue of getting the land, but Government of UP allowed to work, and they permitted us to work without settling the various issues related to the land transfer to organization. Now this shows the way Government of UP is working. Very quickly the issues which are raised, whether it is at the district level or at the government level, these are immediately considered and settled. Now under the transit-oriented policy, the opportunities are in terms of developing the commercial area. Now, if you see, we are working presently with government of UP on draft master plans of Ghaziabad and Meerut districts, which will benefit in terms of additional FAR, mixed land use, vertical development, transit access, and access to various facilities within this length and breadth of 82 kilometers. We see that within the TOD policy, a large number of zones have been identified where we will be providing very centralized, focused approach to develop healthcare facilities, hospitalities, commercial offices, co-working places, industries. So there is a huge opportunity for investment all along the RRTS corridor. The speed, the effective speed to a customer or a commuter on the system will be about 90 kilometers per hour, so that Delhi, the distance between Meerut and Delhi will reduce to less than 55 minutes. And various stations in between Meerut and Delhi, the distance will be in terms of, if you see the time, it will be faster than the linkage within the Delhi or even from Noida or Greater Noida. So it will become a transit corridor of virtue, and it will be having many opportunities for investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, this is one fine example of when we say reform not because of compulsion, but reform because of conviction. And who better than our chief guest, Sri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, who has been living this motto in and out. I have had the privilege of working with him for last 6 years in the ministry, and I have seen that he actually believes in this. Now, I'd like to invite him for his address to us. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
My colleague, collaborator and friend, Arvind Sharma ji, Amrit Abhijat ji, let me start by complimenting you on the design of this session. It is extraordinary for a number of reasons. You have curated it in such a manner that we are not just showcasing the achievements of a highly successful state, but you have present here, and I know 3 minutes is a little unfair on the experts who are easing with a lot of knowledge, but I think each one of them have made some very valuable points, and I think getting the experts here to join the discussion has imparted a quality and richness for which I want to compliment you and thank the experts. I have one small issue to pick with my friend and collaborator Sharma ji. He said the state of Uttar Pradesh welcomes you. My only submission is I belong to the state of Uttar Pradesh. And I have always felt welcome here. 3 days after I was inducted into the Council of Ministers by the Honorable Prime Minister, I had the privilege of visiting Lucknow for the inauguration of the metro line then. And I can tell you that experience in terms of the start of a journey has made a very deep impression not only on me but on anyone else who has been associated with Uttar Pradesh's urban story. I have just 2 or 3 things which I want to mention to you without imparting any political judgment to this. One of the first lessons I learned from September 3, 2017, and when I've analyzed the unfolding of the central schemes, all of them, not just one, is that after
the government headed by the Honorable Chief Minister came in, the pace at which progress was accelerated was unbelievable. Most of our central schemes started in June 2015. It is entirely possible that a new scheme takes a little longer in terms of dissemination of knowledge instead of people being aware. Now I can tell you about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. My friend Amrit Abhijat, who's now Principal Secretary here, he was a Joint Secretary in the ministry dealing with the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. I think your title was JSHFA, is that correct? The Secretary in the ministry was a gentleman who's now the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh. दोनों ने पूरा दम लगा दिया. They were not able to get a proper demand assessment from the Uttar Pradesh state government on the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. This is the period between June 2015 when the scheme started and when Yogi ji took over. After that, see what happens. I think, if memory serves me right, the total number of demand for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana which came from this large state was 17,000 in that 17-month period. And in the next 17 months after Yogi ji took over, it became 17 lakh. So today Uttar Pradesh is right at the top of the total numbers on Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. My speech, which I am deviating from my prepared text, has all the statistics. How Uttar Pradesh is done in Amrut, how Uttar Pradesh is done on smart cities. But let me share another experience. I was telling the Honorable Minister that when I was in Goa for some meeting and I was told that the Honorable Chief Minister wanted to speak to me, that day we had announced, I think, the names of the next 4 smart cities. So I was telling somebody at the dinner, I think Yogi ji must be very happy that the remaining of the cities to make it a total 10 has been announced. It turned out to be otherwise. He was telling me, हमने तो 7 और मांगी थी, वो आपने दी नहीं. So I told him that under the scheme, you can only give 10 to a state. But they have gone ahead and done the other 7. And what Sharma ji was telling me just now, they have also identified other district headquarters and they will make them into smart cities of that kind. This is what you call progress. That you utilize a central scheme as the seed money, as the incentive, and then you mobilize resources. I must tell you, I was very happy when one of the experts said that this is the voice of the private sector. Let me make an honest, upright confession to you. No government scheme can work unless the private sector is very much central to it. We can only devise an ecosystem. Even under the Smart Cities mission, I don't remember the figures, total 2,05,000 crores. If you look at the center's contribution, and if you look at the state's contribution, but I think about 47,000 crores or thereabouts is public-private partnership. If you look at all the other schemes, the private sector is very central to it. And even if you go into the, let's say, affordable housing in partnership, state government provides the land, central government provides 1.5 lakhs to the beneficiary, state government provides the same amount or more, but it's the private sector which will undertake the work. So I want to say that let there be this thing, it's a very constructive, comprehensive partnership between the state, the central government. I could easily take the line, of course nobody would take me seriously, the land is a state subject, central government has nothing to do with it. Instead it's the other way around. We have taken advantage of the fact that the central government can act as a catalyst, as an incentivizer, and ultimately the responsibility is that of the state government. And when you see the figures in Uttar Pradesh, one is delighted. Here is what is called progress in real terms. Let me come back to the context in which this Global Investor Summit is taking place. In the 8 years plus that the Honorable Prime Minister has assumed responsibility, India has moved from being the 9th largest economy in the world to the 5th largest economy.
per capita income in India has gone up and doubled in this period. Today, if we are a $3.5 trillion economy and you're growing at say 6.5% plus, no one who is in anyone, even our detractors who periodically try to cast a negative narrative, will find it difficult to believe that $5 trillion is actually no longer a talking point. You will be a $5 trillion economy at this rate in the next 2 years. But today you are already thinking of another narrative, which is, if I look at a report, I think it was Ernst & Young, which said by 2040 or thereabouts, if the Honorable Prime Minister wants India to be a Viksit Desh or a developed country by 2047, when we're 100, it won't take that long, it will happen earlier. Because the Ernst & Young report says by 2040 or so, India will be a what, $25 trillion economy or thereabouts? And see what that does to the per capita income. I am absolutely sure that the central flagship missions, starting from Swachhata, I mean, I am a regular visitor to Lucknow. I have been in the last 5.5 years that I've been a member of the Council of Ministers. But Sharma ji and I were together in Varanasi the other day. You see the transformation there? If you look at I had been told that this city of Lucknow has been specially prepared for this Global Investor Summit. But my God, it reminded me of an experience I had very soon after joining the Council of Ministers. I visited, I think, Bhopal or Indore. I think it's probably Indore, for a conference, international conference on the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse, I think. And I speak a little bit of Japanese, so there was a Japanese minister, my counterpart. I asked him, when did you arrive? He said, last evening. I said, how did you spend the evening? I was making polite conversation. He said, I went around the city. So I asked him, doing what? He said, I went around the city looking for dirt. So I was a little taken aback. He said, because I had been told that Indore is one of the cleanest cities in the world. And here was a certificate coming from a Japanese minister. He said, I couldn't find any. The point I'm making is, the Swachhata mission is the fulcrum of all our central schemes of urban rejuvenation. My distinguished predecessor, who went on to become the Vice President of India, used to use the word renaissance. I'm a little more careful with words, but this is what I see. If you see Lucknow, the way it has turned out for this Global Investor Summit, what is an investor looking for? I'm asking myself, not only these people here, many of them are people I've worked with. An investor is looking for return on his investment, his or her investment. An investor is also wanting to deploy resources for objectives. My friend, whom I call the chief plumber and green plumber, he wants everything. It's a fact. He says he wants green growth, but so do all of us. So if you come up with projects which give you a good return on investment, plus they help in the green transition. By the way, I would feel equally comfortable in the context of UP if instead of this session on reimagining cities, I was going to be sitting along with the Honorable Minister in a session on green transition, let's say in energy. And I was looking at the figures that this Global Investor Summit has produced in terms of interest by the investing community, in terms of the energy sector. And even though I don't personally deal with, solar and wind and so on, but I do deal with ethanol, with compressed biogas. And I can tell you the kind of policies that the state government has outlined, they're generating a lot of interest. The other day when the Honorable Chief Minister called me and invited me for this, I said I want to bring my CMDs of the oil marketing companies along. I realize that this setting is not right because this is more urban. But I will come to for a meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister because they are all very excited. They want to all say, we will take up as per the new policy announced by the UP government to see how many of them can set up how many CBG plants, ethanol plants here. And that is the transition we are making from 1.4% biofuel blending in 2014 to 10.7% now, and it's going to 20% 5 years in advance. It was slated for 2030. We're going to do it by 2025. I was, when my colleague and friend was saying कि 4000 गार्बेज पॉइंट्स हटाए गए और किसी हमारे भाई का घर का पता बदल गया, that is the real story here. Because frankly, what was the situation in 2014? How much of our municipal waste, I'm only talking about municipal waste, was properly reprocessed? I think it was 17%. And from 2014 to 2023, I mean, ideally I would have liked it to be 100%, but look where we've reached, with 76% or thereabouts. And with the kind of technology that we have at our disposal, the fact that we can make energy from waste, the fact that investment is coming in, is not only those 4,000 garbage points which will be reduced, but you're going into a situation, as I see in cities like Surat and Ahmedabad, that the garbage points are under the ground. All you need is a truck coming in here, outside there's nothing outside. One of our friends from the private sector spoke about ambition, innovation and opportunity. I want to add something, if I may. Along with ambition, I want to add scale. Because ambition is what you desire, but I think what we are demonstrating here is our capacity to do scaled production. And when you come to green hydrogen, for instance, why will India succeed? Because we have generation of demand, we have the capacity to produce it. You need two things for green hydrogen. You need electrolyzers. A company which has 30% of the global production came to see me the other day and he said, we are in active collaboration with Indian companies to produce that. You produce green hydrogen, but you also need it to be consumed because green hydrogen does not lend itself to long transportation. This is India's success story. That in all these fronts, you are able not only to have ambition, innovation, I agree, opportunity is what private sector and the government working together will produce, but you must be able to scale it. And I think that's scaling up, whether it's a solar cooker that the Honorable Prime Minister unveiled in Bengaluru during India Energy Week, or the E20 fuel that the Honorable Prime Minister started, which is now on a pilot project all over, or it's the sheer magnitude of the housing construction. In the year 2019, as my colleague Mr. Abhijat was reminding me, because I was asking what date was it, the Prime Minister unveiled a global housing technology construction challenge. He invited companies from all over the world to come and display their expertise and their technologies. We shortlisted or impaneled 53 technologies based on that experience. And we took 6 of those technologies to produce lighthouse projects in 6 of our cities to make 1,000 modern, ultra-modern, totally green housing units, 1,000 within 1 year. And we have succeeded. And the beauty of the thing, one of the Honorable Prime Minister wanted to monitor one of the projects, and we got a message that the monitoring will take place based on data which is real time. That is satellite imagery and drones. I think Mr. Abhijat was then the Joint Secretary with me. This is the use of technology. And to those of you who are in the private sector, let me try a bit of, it's not hard sell, it's a fact. Come and visit us in Nirman Bhavan in Delhi. We have on the top floor a place called the Urban Observatory, where through the use of technology, we monitor every project taking place in which of a scale, which we are involved in on a real-time basis. So this is what has brought in a transformational change. Now I could go on and on. It's very unfair. The others got 3 minutes and I'm rambling on. But I'm delighted to be here. I think the timing of this Global Investors Conference is a very significant one because we are now heading into a new... I am not going to touch areas like how much of lithium have we discovered, whether it's 5.9 tons. I'm very circumspect. But let me tell you, there is a revolution taking place out there, not only in vehicular traffic and urban transport. I'm also the Minister for Urban Transportation, and when the RRTS is rolled out, I don't have time, but let me give you one statistic. In 2002, when Vajpayee ji was the Prime Minister, we started the metro system. Today, we are the 5th largest metro system in the world with about 850 kilometers. But in a few months' time, we will become the 3rd largest. Few months. And by next year, we might end up, by 2024 sometime, we might end up as the 2nd largest after China. We would have even surpassed the United States because we have 1,039 kilometers under construction, which is time-bound and taking place. So whether it's urban transport, your cities, one of your experts was saying just now that when you design your new cities, you should conceptualize them in such a way that they can be pedestrian-friendly, cycle-friendly. That's precisely what we are doing. If you look at the design of the smart cities and others, we are bringing the citizen back into the center of it. And I was telling the Honorable Minister, my colleague, that, some months ago, few years ago, we had unveiled a program for senior citizens, what I call affordable homes for senior citizens. This policy we had unrolled. And I'm told that that is receiving attention here because at the heart of all the policies has to be the citizen, and especially our elder people. And I'm delighted that UP is taking the lead in that. I could go on and on about the UP achievements, but I think those are staring you in the face. What I would just say is that what makes UP tick is a government which is totally committed to the Prime Minister's ideal that good governance is good politics. And we have a Chief Minister here. I mean, I'm told he gets up, 4:30 baje, 5 baje, kitne baje uth jate hain? Huh? No, point is you have a Prime Minister like Mr. Modi and a Chief Minister. None of them have any interest other than the delivery of goods and services to the most vulnerable. And that was shown during the COVID, that was shown in the unfolding of scheme. So the reimagining of cities where the government is concerned, you see it taking place right from the Swachhta, this thing to all the other thing. And today we are in a situation that we not only are going to be capturing the value, land values properly, but world-class cities in the making with the comfort and ease of living for the citizen at the center. Thank you very much.
So now I'll call upon the Honorable Minister for Urban Development for the closing remark.
Friends, after Honorable Minister has spoken, there is no scope for anyone else to say anything. But in conclusion, I would like to assure Honorable Minister that we will work towards the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, towards the vision of Honorable Hardeep Puri ji himself, making India a great nation. Now, in terms of UP's urban development, I want to add, I was talking about a few campaigns which we had launched, sir. As you said, we want to make global cities, our world-class cities. We have, since January this year, we have already launched a campaign called Making Cities as Global Cities. And that campaign is underway. Under that banner only, We have converted Lucknow to be a globally looking city. We have converted Agra, not only Agra and Lucknow, but a number of cities looking as global cities. So we are on the path of reconstructing, re-engineering, and I would also say that we are trying to reimagine our cities as faster, as cleaner and more efficient cities, more integrated, re-engineering them, reimagining them as centers of development, centers of growth, and in that process, the key point, the final point which I want to add now is that all these activities, making them green, making them integrated, making them more efficient, making them transport-wise, making them more faster, making them smarter in terms of technology, digital technology, all these friends concerns to you, and it has a scope, it has an opportunity for investment by the investors like you. And that is why you are sitting here in this hall, listening to all these stories. How does it translate to an activity where you can participate? How does it translate into an opportunity which you can harness? So we are here, and the good news is that in this very global investor summit, our sector, urban development, sir, you will be happy to know that we have out against 32 lakh crores, we have already attracted 2,08,000 crores in terms of investment in the urban development sector, in terms of the activities which we are talking about. 142 investors in the areas like e-waste, waste management, sewage treatment, housing, smart townships, integrated townships, sustainable and other sanitation related activities. You have made investment, you have committed the investment. We commit here on behalf of the government, on behalf of the department. I commit here that we will make our best efforts to facilitate your investments and to make realize your dreams as a successful entrepreneur. At the end, I assure Honorable Minister, Union Minister and Honorable Prime Minister that we will make our own contribution in making India a $5 trillion to $25 trillion economy, from today's India to a developed country. UP also from Bimaru state to one of the growth centers and the growth engines of the developed nation. I also assure all of you that you should be a partner in our journey. We all are here to facilitate you, to hold your hands in terms of need. At the end, I would like to conclude by saying that those who have already signed the MOUs, congratulations. Those who are waiting, you should make use of next 2-3 hours and make your MOU signed, because this opportunity will not come again very soon. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best, and thank you for joining in the session.